We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're Drive-in Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's another Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's Central Standard Time. It's October 25th, 2021. It's the week before Halloween, and you're tuned into the Drive-in Speakerbox. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I am Slick Doggy the Grip.
You don't have any... You've just thrown away your name completely. No one knows it's Jake anymore. It's
What
just
do you mean?
Slick Doggy.
Yeah.
The Grip. You're not even going by, like, let me see your driver's license. Did you get it changed to Slick Doggy?
No, I never had to change it. That's what it always
It's always
said.
on the birth
Yeah,
certificate.
right there.
Well, I'll be
There it
dog. Slick David is what it says on the old driver's license. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Slicky D, they call me.
Slicky D. Shout outs to everybody already participating in the chat. If you guys are tuning into the audio version of the podcast, you're missing out on a big portion of the show, which you can catch every weekday or every week live Monday night, 8 o'clock on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. And you can join in. Shout outs to Vince over on Twitch, Tony over on YouTube. We got Sam over on Facebook. We got people already tuning in, chatting us up. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We got a show tonight. It's the last show before Halloween.
Yeah.
A little bittersweet for me because, you know, I like having all the spooky stuff in the studio. A lot of people ask us, we get messages and stuff all the time, and they go, that's a really cool green screen. Is that, how did you make that? Is it real? And they think that that this is a green screen.
Oh, no.
And all this is all our junk.
This is stuff we have spent money on.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about, if you see over my shoulder here that I'm pointing with my thumb, I've got this really cool Evil Dead 2 like Bad Ash mask.
Oh, and I'm a big fan of this Wolfman classic mask.
Oh, the classic monster masks. And I got my trick or treat lollipop, I can go murder somebody with. I mean, we got all the fun, spooky stuff in the studio tonight. And, in celebration of the spooky season. But we also saw a movie this week that we're going to be talking about, a big 2-hour, 47-minute epic that we're going to be talking about. We watched Dune.
Yeah, independently, separate of one another, discussing it for the first time in front of live audience.
Live studio
Dune.
audience. Yeah.
How you Dune?
How you doing, dude?
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Dune later in the show. So stick around for that. That usually comes in the second half hour of the program. And in the first half hour of the program, we're going to talk about news. And I don't know, I guess it happened, like, time has stopped being linear for me because of the Nightmare on Block Street event that, if you guys live here in Northwest Arkansas, it's going on over at my bar, Pinpoint. It's a month-long Halloween pop-up bar. It's a celebration of all things Halloween, and it's just been destroying me. I am so tired and so overworked. But it's been a really long week. Did we get to talk about the Alec Baldwin thing?
No, because that didn't happen yet as of last show. So this is where we get to talk about it.
Oh, man.
And production nightmare and a terrible thing for anyone to
Thanks for the sub, Bottle Rocket.
go through on any portion of that, be it the family of the was it the AD or the director that died? I think it was the director, wasn't it?
No.
It was the cinematographer and the director
got injured.
The cinematographer was accidentally killed. Alec Baldwin, as an actor, was handed a live weapon and was told that it was cold. Some prop master somewhere is
Probably being talked off of a cliff.
Yeah. Well, and the most recent thing I read said that it was on the assistant director who had taken it on themselves to check the weapon and had handed it to the actors and told them it was a cold weapon. It was blanks and things like that. And it's
well, you
it's
know,
a sad thing. Man.
It's you know, a lot of people don't realize how dangerous movie making really is. You know, I mean, it's the whole stunt path is all but lost anymore because it's so dangerous. But even things like this, accidents do happen. And, you know, one of the most famous, infamous, I guess, if you will, on-set deaths was of Brandon Lee, who died in a very similar fashion. And
and that wasn't even a live round, but the blanks. But if you
the shell of the blank collapsed,
the concussion of the blank, because you can be killed by a blank because there's still an explosion. But yeah, this had live ammunition.
And so, as Vince and Bottle Rock are saying here in Twitch, Vince says the director got in trouble for his last set, which had a firearms incident as well. And then Bottle Rocket says the armorer and AD are being questioned. And I mean, it's you know, because everybody wants to find out who's at fault, you know, and you know, sometimes in tragedies, accidents just happen. But you know, when you're dealing with live firearms and you're dealing with very, very dangerous situations, like, you have to take the utmost precautions, because, you know, I can't imagine what Alec Baldwin must be feeling. You know, I mean, just to be immediately turned into a murderer, like, but you have absolutely no control. Right. You know, you're being told exactly what you're supposed to do, and you know, as an actor, a lot of people think acting's super easy and super fun, but you're having to get yourself in and out of these headspaces to get you know, convincing performances. But then to actually end up killing somebody on set, like, holy crap, you know, right. That's got to be intense.
Absolutely no fault of his own, kind of a thing too. It's just wild to me that there would be any issuance of a live round weapon kind of a thing within a movie in 2021, where they're not just pointed straight down range, kind of a thing.
Well, yeah. And you know, this goes into a bigger conversation about the whole, you know, going back to the whole IATSE deal that's been going on for months now, but just on-set conditions. You know, a lot of movies now are being rushed. Budgets are being cut. The hours are going longer. People are getting worked super, super hard. And the longer you work people and the more, you know, you ask out of them and the less pay that you give them and the more strenuous the work conditions are, more accidents tend to happen. You know, I mean, I didn't shoot anybody on set, but I think the biggest accident I ever was involved in happened at one of these sets where we were on hour number like 15 or 16. It was in the middle of the night, and I was coming around. I was a boom op, obviously, on the set, and somebody didn't yell points when they were pulling down a C-stand. They were flagging off a lamp because we were shooting day for night, and this flag comes down and spins around, and nobody called it, and it just smacked me square on the ridge in the nose and like knocked me over, and I had this huge bruise, like right across, like a raccoon bruise across my face, and it was just because everybody was tired and not thinking and just in a hurry and trying to get the days done. And you know, what a tragedy that happened on this set. And I think I think we're gonna see repercussions of what, and hopefully positive ones, come out of this, because this kind of crap doesn't need to happen on set. But anyway.
Well, yeah, Vince said he heard that the gun was being pointed at the camera. Last I read, they weren't releasing any of those kinds of details, or like what kind of weapon it was to be able to hurt two people. Like if it was a black powder pistol, because it is a Western that was being filmed, or a shotgun, or whatever it may have been. But pointing it towards the camera crew is kind of what I figured when I heard that kind of thing. I hope that's not the case if someone didn't bother to check this thing for live rounds or anything like that.
Well, guns freak me out anyway, you know, even blanks and all this kind of stuff. And here's why. You know, reasons like this, it's just like, no, man, it's not loaded, or it's a blank, or it's a whatever, and then bang, someone's dead.
Yeah, even that, I mean... It's so easy to, load blanks. I don't know why a movie would have live ammo in a scenario like that, unless you're, I don't know. It's hard to think of a good reason in a movie, unless it's like the trained firearm expert and they're filming role that they'll insert the actor into later or something like that, you know.
Yeah, armorers on set are they don't mess around, man. The only sets I've ever been on, or the handful of sets I've been on that had gun scenes, it was no joke. I mean, only a handful of people are allowed to be around. Only certain people could touch the gun. Yada yada yada. It had to be passed from one person to another. It was like a naked scene, closed set. Everybody stand away and blah 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 when the stuff comes out. Anyway, enough about that. What else happened? What else happened in the news? A lot of big trailers dropped this week.
Yeah.
Of course, with Dune's big release.
One that's not this week, but was a recent trailer I did not have a chance to comment on, is that there's finally a trailer for the Dragon Ball Super Hero movie that had been announced back at Comic-Con. So it has its trailer out. Don't know how I feel about it, but that's
I didn't
out
see
there.
it.
Yeah, it's only like a minute long. It's their first attempt at using like a full CGI animation technique to emulate a 2D drawing plane. So even though they've been doing CG for drawing or using computers for drawing,
I don't like it.
This is actually all computer generated to emulate 2D drawing, kind of like the Dragon Ball Fighter game. It's interesting to see how it is all working in motion, but I don't know how I feel about it. Red Ribbon Army's coming back, and it feels like at the point where Goku and Vegeta are literally gods, and currently in the manga are like training with like the people that can destroy the entire universe if they want to, and having that same level of power, fighting the Red Ribbon Army's just a little bit beneath them. But whatever. That trailer's out. But onto the new ones.
Mm-hmm. Which one did you see that just made an impact on you at the theater this week? I mean, I saw the Scream one. I think I may have talked about that one a little bit last week.
As far as ones that I saw at the theater while watching the movie, Scream is the one, I guess, because I hadn't seen it yet. The other ones, like the ambulance trailer and Uncharted, which I do want to talk about. But
the new Michael Bay.
Yeah, I had seen those trailers already. I had not seen the Scream one. I was like, oh, Scream remake? But it's not a remake. It's a reboot cool.
Yeah.
The reboot cool, as we call them. And
I mean, you put David Arquette and Neve Campbell back in a movie, and I'm going to go see it. I love David Arquette. I mean, we've talked about David Arquette.
The documentary recently released of David Arquette that I watched and reviewed on the show. Very good.
We've gone ad nauseum about David Arquette. So.
I do like to see that it's a sequel. I hate that it's called just Scream once again. And I hate when you look up a movie and
at least it wasn't called like Scream Resurrections.
Yeah, I mean,
looking at you, Matrix.
They can do something there about that. Yeah, I'd already seen the Matrix trailer too, which is dumb, but whatever.
They should have called it Scream Stabbing in the Dark, because that's pretty much what I feel like a lot of these franchises are trying to do. They're just stabbing in the dark, trying to hit something again. But I don't know. Scream could be fun.
Well, I mean, it was kind of interesting because the killer is going after relatives of the killers from the other movies. So instead of like the other victims, it's going after relatives of the killers or something like that. So I don't know.
Could be fun.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Jump scares all over the place.
But you did mention it here before you started talking about Scream, the Uncharted trailer. My God, was that a exhaustingly long and flat trailer to me.
Oh, man. So I don't think you've ever played any of the Uncharted games.
I've not. I've seen the games online and people play them on Twitch, and I've seen commercials. And
I've played all of the Nathan Drake games, and I own the one for the girls, but I haven't played it yet just because I've never had the drive to sit down and sit through that as an Uncharted game without Nathan Drake. They already made an Uncharted movie. And it was called Aquaman.
Yeah, I remember you talking about. Yeah, you mentioned
that.
That
Aquaman has every scene from like Uncharted 2 in it, and you're like, oh, I've seen this before in Uncharted. And now this movie, which is officially being advertised as a prequel to the games,
to Aquaman,
has all of the scenes from the later games in it. It's like, how many times can Nathan Drake fall out of a cargo plane and work his way up the cargo to survive being dropped out of the plane? Or how many times can he do the same thing he's going to do later? And don't you think that later in life he'd be like, well, this is oddly familiar.
Maybe I should not get in a cargo plane.
Yeah, and
Maybe I should always wear a parachute just like a fashion accessory.
But the idea of a super young Nathan Drake and a very young Sully that doesn't emulate the look of Sully from the games or anything like that whatsoever, I don't like it, man. They have all the big scenes from the games except for the train in the Himalayas or whatever, but there's none of the reason there. You can't just pack them all into the greatest hits and say, oh, it's a prequel and he's going to do all the same stuff that he does later. And they already did this. I can't remember if it was in Uncharted 3 or in A Thief's End, but they've already done the young Nathan Drake and Sully meeting, how they met each other and the adventures they went on. They've already done that in the games. So why do it again? Why not just make the story from the games into the movie? And
That's
also,
what I just don't understand, because I don't think these Hollywood producers actually play the games.
No, they don't.
They just know that people play the games, and they go, well, let's make a movie about it, and let's just shake it up and do the thing.
And the thing is, I
was going to say, and they're like, well, if we're going to make a video game movie good, let's put, everybody's favorite, guy from Boston in it, because Max Payne was so good.
Oh, geez, I forgot he's been in video game movies before. Awful.
Mr. Wahlberg doesn't make good video game movies.
Not one fan of Uncharted is going to be happy about this, because there's not one fan who isn't like, oh yeah, Nathan Fillion is clearly Nathan Drake. And in fact, there is a fan movie that was made starring Nathan Fillion, and everyone's like, yeah, there it is. There's an Uncharted movie, and it's good. It's like 10, 15 minutes long. It is Uncharted. He even does the cover-based shooting in this little film.
It never really... it's never really made sense to me that, like, when studios are trying to pitch these movies and they go, you know what, let's take this wildly successful pop culture phenomena and try and open it up to a new audience. And it's like, no, it's wildly successful because you already got the audience. How about give that audience what they want, instead of just pissing them off completely?
Which is why Sonic the Hedgehog is the only video game movie that should have ever been, because it's the one that worked. Because what happened? They listened. People were like, hey, this sucks. Fix it. And they go, oh,
okay.
Okay. Yeah. And they fixed it, and look at them. They made all of the dollars. They made every one of the dollars. Not excited about the Uncharted trailer as a fan of the series, as someone who has all of the video games and has played all except for the side story bullcrap game that was on sale through PS Plus, and I was like, why not? Not super stoked about it. But
I never played the games, but I do love adventure movies, and this one I'd rather watch National Treasure.
Well, that's why people like the games, is because it's more of an adventure movie than it is a game. It's an interactive National Treasure.
Yeah,
they're so good. They're very, very good video games. You can even set the difficulty down to where it's
just cut screens.
It's a movie, basically. Okay. Yeah. But the games are fantastic. They did.
It's kind of like that. What was that game that you and I played? It was like a teamwork game, and it was basically just a movie when we went through cut screens.
Yeah, the one where you're prisoners
getting out of jail.
Split screen. What was that called? That was fun.
It was just a movie.
It was a movie, and it was good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Tango and Cash. In the 50s, that's what it was. They did announce alongside the Uncharted movie trailer that there is yet another Uncharted collection being released, revamped once more for the PS5. So if you have the Nathan Drake collection for PS4 with its update from the PS3, you'll now be able to have them all once again updated for PS5 if you're so lucky as to have a PS5 console with all of the Bitcoin boys purchasing those to make it where you will never be allowed to have one ever. I know that I scour for them constantly.
You still looking for one of those things?
Oh, yeah, man. I need to obviously play the revamped Uncharted collection when it comes out, because they're good enough games that I will purchase them twice and play them again. I really like those games. Don't like the trailer. So,
in other news, did you guys know that it's National Chucky Day?
What?
Yeah, somehow, somewhere, somebody registered. You know, it's super easy to register
this guy
for.
back here,
Yeah,
behind over your shoulder.
See, just to prove to everybody that all this shit's real. Got my good guy cereal, my sugar-coated, vitamin fortified, gives you more power. Yeah, and over here you can see all the fun things. He's a fearless fireman, a cowboy, a superstar baseball player, and I'm not going to mention the other one because it's a little culturally appropriated. But Chucky. It's National Chucky Day. And, Chucky, of course, from the Child's Play movie. Sci-Fi actually is doing a marathon I think, today and tomorrow, leading up to the re-release of the series. Yeah, the first 2 episodes, they're going to be airing those. The new Chucky television series coming out. And the movie that came out, the Child's Play remake, I reviewed it on the show
Mark
when it
Hamill.
came out. It was not bad. I thought it was pretty good. A good way to... bring that character into a modern age, with smart home technology and all that kind of scary stuff, and adding a new layer onto it, kind of a rogue AI instead of the whole, satanic body, taking a soul transference of a serial killer into a body of a doll, but
the rogue AI thing is small soldiers.
I mean, true, but the small soldiers weren't like brutally murdering everybody. They were just like.
Did you not see what the commandos were doing?
Well, yeah, but they weren't like putting people's heads into box cutters.
They tried to with Kirsten Dunst. Remember?
They did.
They took all her Barbie dolls.
Tried.
Yeah, it was only because old Goof McGoober came in and saved her. And then they blasted Led Zeppelin and
Small
swapped
Soldiers
spit.
was pretty good.
Small Soldiers so good.
That was a Joe Dante film. That was a late Joe Dante film, if memory serves.
Hey, Perla. Sam has a good point. He'll pick up a PS5 from Goodwill in 25 years. That's probably the better way to do it.
Oh, yeah, we got some shout-outs. Hannah and Perla are watching us from the vault. Shout out to everybody over at the vault. Shout out to Tyler. He said he's only seen the original. Is there a favorite from you two of the Chucky franchise? Honestly,
I've never liked the Chucky movies myself. It's a jump scare movie.
So the weird thing about Chucky is
I liked them as they got funnier through the later movies.
They're comedies. You know, with Chucky, they really tried to make a new Freddy. Because with Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise from New Line. Actually, if you guys have any interest in learning about horror movies, the new series of the movies that made us on Netflix just got released this month, and they did an episode on Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and they're all super worth watching. And the one on Nightmare on Elm Street is really interesting because that movie almost did not get made, and it was made for I think $400,000 budget. And, it basically created New Line Cinema.
Well, I was going to reach back in there, but it's hidden behind the little projector there. There's also a documentary, which they've made a second one of, given its popularity, the Into Darkness documentary, or 80s horror doc, I think is the website you can find it at, along with the 80s sci-fi doc. But there's a now 2-part documentary that's all about 80s horror movies from the people that were in them. There's interviews with like Elvira. I think they even get Robert Englund and all of the producers and directors and writers, stars of all of these movies in there, and you can learn all about all sorts of 80s horror films.
Well, the interesting thing that a lot of those movies have that not a lot of people realize is they didn't have a lot of money. That was the one thing that most of these huge classic franchises that got started, but they had a lot of passion and a lot of talent. And those are two things that seem to be running in short supply now, and everybody's trying to throw a lot of money at stuff to make these big, new, iconic horror movies, when really all you need is a group of people that have a great idea, have a lot of talent, and are willing to think outside the box. because constraint breeds ingenuity, and that is no different on a film set than it is in science or anywhere else. And, that's where a lot of these big classics come from. And they're classics for a reason. You go back and you watch them, and they're amazing. But to answer Tyler's question, the first Child's Play is the best Child's Play. I don't really like most of the Child's Play movies after he's all, stitched up, and he has, the bride of Chucky and Jennifer Tilly's character and all that kind of stuff. It gets a little just silly at that point, because what I think makes the original movie kind of frightening is that he looks like an inconspicuous regular good guy's doll, and he's not. And it's this crazy psycho killer, and no one believes this kid. And by the last one, it's Chucky. He's a bad guy,
clearly evil.
Yeah, truly, clearly evil. Shout outs to J.I. Also tuning in.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, talking about evil, announced just today, wasn't it? Brendan Fraser, everyone's favorite sweetheart of America man.
He's coming back, baby.
He will be evil in the upcoming Batgirl movie. He'll be a bad guy in that. Interested to see who he's going to be, if they're going to make him like a Black Mask type character or somebody like this. And what Batgirl is it going to be now is what I'm wondering. Is it going to be no talking Super Ninja Batgirl? Is it going to be Barbara Gordon Batgirl? Is it going to be spoiler Batgirl? How many of the Batgirls have there been?
All the Batgirls.
Yeah.
Catching up in the comments, apparently Perla has a reoccurring dream about this doll and is terrified from it. So,
oh, that's awful! Don't do that to her.
What you just get a close up of the good guy's doll.
Don't ruin our viewership
Perla,
by
it's me
being a mean boy.
I'm a good guy. Yeah, there you go. Get that. Oh, go back to camera 1, camera 2, camera B. Where's our camera crew here? Yeah, Brendan Fraser is awesome. I've always said this. You know it. I know it. Brendan Fraser's great. Ever since I saw The Mummy, or Encino Man, or Monkey Bone, or you name it.
Monkey Bone's the worst movie.
Monkey
It's
Bone
so
is not
bad.
No,
It is.
You shut your dirty whore mouth. Monkey Bone is a great movie.
No, it's not. I wanted it to be so bad when that movie came out. I was like, yeah, sick. And then I watched it. I was like, no.
Monkey Bone is a good movie.
Bedazzled remake is good.
Whoa! You're over here throwing shade on Monkey Bone, but you're like, but Bedazzled remake is good.
It is, man.
Monkey Bone is
Brendan
good.
Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. And
Monkey Bone is good. Don't listen to what this guy says.
It's not.
Monkey Bone. It's Henry Selick, man.
I have like Chris Kattan in that movie or something.
Yeah. He's like the dead jogging guy. It's a pretty good movie.
No.
Shut your mouth. You don't even know. Tyler says George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Airheads.
Airheads is a great movie. Yeah, Brendan Fraser rules. And for those of you that just don't understand or appreciate the true that is Brendan Fraser, there we go.
Vince said he finally watched Blast from the Past, which at the time, not a bad movie. I haven't watched it in a long time. He said he should have left it in the vault that he pulled it from.
Blast from the Past. Probably
it was okay when it came out. I think that's okay.
Probably not the best Brendan Fraser one to just rip out the starting of Fraser Fest.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sam says Looney Tunes back in action is our Citizen Kane.
How?
Yikes.
No way.
No, pulling out all the stops.
Other trailer, the ambulance movie that's
the new Michael
all
Bay.
All of a sudden everywhere. Looks like a
Michael Bay.
Pretty stupid heist movie.
Yeah, Michael Bay, we all know him for explosions and car chases and now Transformers. And this, Jake Gyllenhaal is great and everything, but these heist movies, you can't make another Heat. And no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard of an ambulance you get in, you're not going to be driving through L.A. for 2.5 hours, shooting 17 helicopters and 400 cop cars. And it's not with 3 guys. Like, I don't know. It seems, the premise seems so weak. enforced, and you know, an innocent bystander homie gets dragged into a Point Break style, like, cross country root and toot and shoot 'em up bank heist.
Yeah, it's very like Point Blank, or that new Jason Statham movie, or
One less job.
Yeah, man, I don't know. There wasn't anything about it that I was like, yo, I gotta see
I will
this.
say that the action sequences look solid because it's Michael Bay and that's what he does. I just wish that Michael Bay would just be maybe
Stick to Bad Boys.
Or stick to just executive producing, maybe, and maybe stick to being just like a, I don't know, an action coordinator, and just do what he does best. But, you know, I mean, I guess when you get to the point of Michael Bay and you want to do it all, then who's going to tell you no?
Have you ever seen that old Kenny Powers K-Swiss commercial where he's like, Kenny Powers purchases K-Swiss, and he's like, yo, we're going to make epic commercials, hit me. And like he brings in all these directors and stuff, and Michael Bay's one of them. Michael Bay's like, oh, there's explosions and all this stuff and everything.
I do remember this,
yeah. And Kenny Powers is like, yeah, I love it, that rules, but what's it have to do with the pumps, the K-Swiss pumps? He's like, I don't know, maybe like Godzilla's wearing them in explosions. And he's like, yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good because it's just Michael Bay being a parody of himself, but it's not really a parody because that's
he knows.
Michael Bay.
He knows.
Hey, but The Rock rules.
Was that him and Jerry Bruckheimer? Because when he and Jerry Bruckheimer get together,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's when the magic happens. And I think that it was Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay that got together for Bad Boys. I think that they got together for The Rock. And like when they were like tag teaming, when they were doing this, when they were
I'm uncomfortable.
When they were touching tips.
I'm very uncomfortable.
But that's, you know, they were a power team. They were a power couple. You don't break up the power team. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do that. Power team is power team for a reason.
Yeah. Rock foreign films. That's what we're talking about.
All right. Any other bits of this weekend news that you wanted to mention, or shall we jump into Tales of Arrakis?
I think that was the big ones there. Yeah. Well, we got it. Nailed it. We did it.
We did it.
Bad Boys for life.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to take a little swig of my brandy here before we get started talking about what's coming out in theaters this week, because that's what we got to talk about.
Ooh, there was one. Coming soon to theaters. It's news that conjoins with this. A One Piece movie that's never been released in the United States is going to be Fathom Events coming up very soon. Check in on it. It's the 10th film because
I need a weeb button.
Hold on. You're the weeb here, dog. One Piece rules, though. One Piece is hitting its 1,000th episode. And so they're releasing the 10th movie, which was actually written by Oda Eiichiro, the author of One Piece. So it's like a movie that was actually written by him instead of some goof that was just making One Piece movies, because there are several One Piece movies that are tough to watch. But this one's the one actually written by the author of One Piece, and is coming to the U.S. for the first time via Fathom Events. So check that out if you're into cool stuff.
I can do animations. I can do buttons. I need to make a weeb alert.
You would be hitting it for yourself always. I'd be reaching.
I'd be hitting it all the time. No.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Oh wait, doggy.
Oh man. So yeah, there's that. All right, coming out in theaters this weekend. A couple of big movies coming out. Nothing huge. There's a pretty hilarious Planet Dune, which is like the, you know how when Redbox used to put out those movies like a week or the same week as something that's in
with a
theaters.
very similar title.
My favorite was Transmorphers.
Yeah.
It was the best. But Planet Dune, which has nothing to do with regular Dune, except for it's got trimmers like the sandworms.
Oh man, you know how like they just make they went as far as to make the fake Sharknado movies as if Sharknado's not bad enough on its own. I definitely want to make like a cetacean hurricane, and it's just like porpoises, like tail smacking people. Yeah.
Like raping and smacking and being.
Wow, they do that.
That's what they do.
True horror.
Porpoises are crazy. But other than that, there is 2 movies coming out. A horror movie by the name of Antlers coming out. It's kind of a drama horror mystery directed by Scott Cooper with Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, Jerry Thomas, and Graham Greene. That's coming out in theaters. It's kind of looks like a movie about a Wendigo. I watched the trailer. Wendigo is a pretty old and very old indigenous folklore beast from Native American culture. Ooh, Pet Sematary. It's a good couple of movies.
That's the whole thing. It's the Wendigo.
But the Native Americans have told tales of the Wendigo forever, and 2 of my favorite Wendigo movies are Wendigo, which is, I think, came out in I want to say early 2000s, and Ravenous, which is like 1999, fantastic movie with Guy Pearce, kind of similar. I mean, it's not direct like Wendigo, but it is the Wendigo legend. But this movie kind of pulling that in. It's called Antlers. It's coming out, looks kind of creepy. But also coming out is the new Edgar Wright movie that everybody's been waiting for, Last Night in Soho. People saying on set he directed this a lot like it was a musical, which sounds pretty interesting. But, everybody knows Edgar Wright for his very flashy, stylized sort of way of filmmaking. But it's got Thomasin McKenzie, Anna Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, Diana Rigg. It's about if you've seen the trailer, it's kind of a cerebral, time weaving sort of mystery tale. It looks pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about that one. Gonna try and maybe see that this weekend coming out. Vince over in Twitch says he needs another emoji to replace the speaker box. He never used it. You know how long it took me to make that little thing?
It doesn't have the same humor to it, and inside track for our viewers like The Rock and foreign films do. Though.
It is our namesake right there. See, that's my speaker box. It's a drive-in speaker box. Can't we have? Can't please everybody. Okay. All right. That's what's in theaters this week. That's it. I mean, there's a My Hero Academia movie that's coming out in limited release. There you go. That's what's coming out. Shall we talk about some Dune?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about some Dune. Dune, you guys. Dune. Where to begin with Dune? I mean, if you've ever had a friend that you ever that was a huge nerd and talked too much about nerdy shit, and you ever tell them to shut up, and they probably were a big fan of this book, the Dune book series is, I don't even know how many books are in this because I've only read the first one. I never got past. I think I tried to get to, what was the second one? I'm gonna have to look it up really quick.
Books went all the way up until like 2008 or something like that.
Oh yeah. Frank Herbert wrote a crap load, his
son or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like now Herbert Properties LLC. But you're going from the 70s. The original book was 65, and then it went from all the way up to, 69, 76, 81, 84, 85. This, good God, all the way up to
they're still releasing
2016. It's just insane. So, if you've read any of it, you know that it's a huge space opera. That's really what you need to know. It's Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones in space, all centered around, instead of like gold, is spice. And
spice melange.
Spice. And spice is pretty awesome, and it does a lot of cool stuff and allows you interstellar travel, and it's super, super valuable. And much like any sort of political drama, money's power and power's power, and military's power, and so it's all about rival clans and houses and bloodlines and rivalries and all this kind of stuff. And the original Dune is a fantastic book. It's really amazing. It's very deep. It's very rich. But the problem with Dune is there's so much to it that it gets so lost in trying to translate it into a film medium. And one of the most interesting documentaries I ever watched was the 2013 Yorodowski's Dune, which is a documentary about the first time anyone tried to adapt this into a film. And, of course, it was Alejandro Yorodowski that was trying to do this. And if you know anything about him, or if you watched my show long enough to hear me talk about him, this dude's a very, very eccentric filmmaker. Probably the two big ones, if anybody's going to watch a Yorodowski movie, it's going to be El Topo and The Holy Mountain. Both of those movies are really, really just iconic Yorodowski movies. But he was set to do an adaptation of Dune with just this who's who of creatives that went on to go do other things like Star Wars and Aliens. And I mean, H.R. Geiger was on the team, and like it was a crazy project. Like thinking about what it could have possibly been was insane. But instead of that, we got the 1984 David Lynch version, which a lot of people throw under the bus for not being true to the book and just being kind of David Lynchy, and that's not entirely a bad thing if you're into David Lynch.
And it had Patrick Stewart.
It did have Patrick Stewart.
It was Kyle MacLachlan's first movie.
I didn't realize it was his first movie.
Yeah.
Wow, and he was old Paul Atreides. But it's a movie to watch. It's not terrible. It's definitely not the best adaptation of Dune. And it has its merits in its own way. And then there wasn't a whole lot of Dune for a while. And then until like in the 2000s,
sci-fi series.
Yeah, you had a couple of miniseries that came out. William Hurt led the 2000 Dune TV miniseries, and then in 2003, there was a short-lived Children of Dune that came out and didn't get a whole lot of traction going on behind Dune. And I think what Hollywood has been trying to get is a big fandom around Dune. Like everybody that loves sci-fi loves Dune, but it doesn't have a fan base like Star Trek or Star Wars, or
it's not as marketable.
It's not as marketable.
I mean, how many action figures can you sell of Dune? You can't until now.
Collect all the Freemen.
Yeah, but now you have Aquaman and Thanos and Star Wars boys as your Dune guys. So it's like, oh, well, now they can probably find a way to market it. But up until that, it's like, you can't exactly just sell play sand and like a big old worm, right?
I don't know. That sounds pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, it's like a $50 worm toy, and you just like cruise it through the sand.
Yeah. And I don't know if you had eye drops that turn your eyes blue. And
I bet that would work out really good.
Yeah, eye drops for kids. Let's see. Sam asks, he's like, the whole thing sounds pretty exhausting. It can be. But like most great things that involve time and dedication, Dune is one of those things. And if you're willing to invest in Dune, the payoff can be great. He asks also, is there a good part to go to the bathroom during the movie?
No.
I think the best time to go to the bathroom in the movie is when Paul and his mother are escaping into the sandstorm.
Well,
and you can get away for like a minute and a half, and they're still in the sandstorm.
Yeah, but he has his visions and whatnot.
He does have his visions.
Basically, this is part one, and it does say part one at the beginning to let you know this is only the first half. For any of you that thought that maybe you hadn't been paying attention to the news and didn't realize this is going to be like 6 or 7 hour deal. In the end, we'll probably only get 5 hours, 6 hours of it in the theater. But it's a whole movie that probably could have been condensed into probably a half hour and been okay. But that would throw off the entire pace.
Wait, you think this 2.5 hour movie could have been 30 minutes long?
Bruh, I've seen this much stuff happen in like the first 10 minutes of a Star Trek episode. But I'm not saying it's bad. I like this movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you, nothing happens, but you need to see all of it not happen, so you probably can't find a time to use the bathroom.
Counterexample says, let your personal still suit do the work. Yeah, this movie's so long, you need a still suit to convert your pee-pee back into drink. And
it really, I honestly didn't feel like it was that long.
It didn't.
It was a lot like the newest Blade Runner, where everything is about the ambiance and like the scenery and bringing you into it. And there's not a lot of music, and there's not a lot of things that are happening.
There are some silent moments in this.
But you need to be witnessing it.
And that is kind of what I wanted to hit at with my review of this movie is... This movie is experiential. Every time somebody's like, oh, I just watched it on TV. I'm like, well, get your ass into the theater and watch it because you didn't watch the same movie I did. This movie is about immersing you into the world of Dune. And I read an interview with Villeneuve, the director, the other day, and he was talking about how part one is his way of getting people comfortable with the just vastness of this lore, to have people be okay with what he has prepared to go into the second film, because he wants to come into the second film guns blazing, just like dropping stuff on you.
Because the action in this is not very action-y so far. Right, everything is pretty. It's calm, it's smooth, it's little deliberate things, and there's not a lot of like a blade sunk into someone's sound effect or anything to let you know it happened. It's just like they'll rub someone and then that person falls down, and it's not exactly an action-packed movie.
No, there's some fight scenes and there's some pretty cool, like, planetary raids, but it's not an action film. It's very much it's a world building film. And, one of the things that I thought that they did really well in this is when you go into very large book adaptations, and you don't have, a guaranteed 9 movies to do it like Harry Potter, what's hard is all the small minutia that goes into filling a paragraph that can build a world in your mind. You don't get all that luxury on screen. And there are really cool moments in this film that the lore feels naturally built, like all his little automated lesson programs that are teaching him about the still suits and then teaching you about the different planets and why the Harkonnens are such assholes and like all these different things that would normally take their time in different chapters here and there, giving you these explanatory bits and pieces of this world. It did it cleverly without like going, and here are these people, and here's why they suck, and you've only got so long to flesh out like all of this stuff. And I thought that they did it pretty tastefully and still left me wanting more, They introduced the sandworms real quick, like right off the bat.
Yeah,
and
straight up, they're like, hey, we know what you want. How about some fucking sandworms? And you're like, yeah. And there was no shortage of sandworms. It did not make you wait for it. It did not like treat it like Jaws, where it's worse if you don't see it kind of a thing. No, they're like, we know why you're here. Here is the friggin' mobile sarlacc. There it is. Check that out. It's the titties.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, sandworms are cool.
And also, and the cool thing about Dune, and I don't know if they've pitched this to the studios yet, but the next part of this book is girl power central. Like if you want to sell this to the studios to greenlight the second one, dude, you're talking like all the strong female characters that you can think of come out guns blazing and should be coming out guns blazing in the second half. And then I think HBO Max is thinking about doing a whole spin-off series on just the Bene Gesserit, where they're, the crazy, voice-wielding witch ladies that run everything. But,
Because they who control the spice.
Mm-hmm. Fear's the mind killer. But, they introduce a lot of little bits and pieces without over extrapolating and leaving a little bit of mystery, leaving a little bit more to be explained. I thought that the Freemen were introduced really well. Some amazing performances, like Javier Bardem, performed so well you forgot it. He Gary Oldman this role.
This was the first time I've seen him in a movie where I was like, is that Javier Bardem? And it's like, oh yeah, it was, because he wasn't being like
Javier Bardem.
Yeah,
he was being the character, and Jason Momoa was a little much for me, but I get it because I know what the character he was trying to be, and
the coolest dude in town.
And I just thought the casting was super, super good, and old Elder Skarsgård playing the Baron.
Oh, that was so good.
He nailed it.
The makeup was good.
Nailed it without being overly disgusting. Like, the David Lynch Baron is pretty gross, but this one was just like vile and repulsive in a way that was disturbing, and you just hated him immediately. And the performances in this were really, really good, and I was quite surprised at Timothy Chalamet. I thought he actually, I was a little nervous at his casting. I think he's a little white for the role, but I think that he played it very well. I mean, considering his dad is Oscar Isaac in this one.
Yeah, but his mom is Rebecca Ferguson. Is just
true.
Like the palest of
The
people.
superest of white.
She always plays the same person and everything. She's like a creepy whisper lady that has a ulterior motive that she has not divulged. Looking at you, Mission Impossible.
Tyler says over on YouTube, he was just like, that voice was terrifying. That reminds me of one of my favorite things that they did in this movie was how they portrayed the voice. And it's something that, you never really think of translating it on screen, because some things when are in your imagination are better left there. But they did a good job with it. It was creepy. It was scary and commanding, and the audio work in this movie was very well done. And it just it's a loud movie, and it's a shaking movie.
Yeah, Logan said he can vouch for how loud it was because his hangover from Hot Lakes concert it was not agreeable.
Yeah, you don't want to go to this movie with a hangover. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. I even thought Dave Bautista did a pretty great job.
The limited time that you got to see him.
Yeah, he was in just for a bit, but he fit the role. And if anybody's going to be a Harkonnen, this is going to be Dave Bautista. I think everybody needs to see this movie in the theater. I think, any movie that this director makes is a theater movie. I mean, Blade Runner 2049 was such a tragedy because it was a sci-fi masterpiece that no one got to see in the theater. And because no one saw it in the theater, about everybody's seen it now and appreciates how good it was. But because I'm looking at you, Sam, in the comments, who's, I'll just watch it on Tubi. If you don't go see it in the theater, these are the reasons we don't get more of them. And, you have to encourage these directors to make more, because when you wait till it's like on a mobile platform with Crackle ads or something, then that's long past when the director is going to benefit, or, the production house is going to benefit from you actually getting around to watching it. So Vince says, I saw it 3 times in the theater, raised a roof. That's good. And the theaters are very, very important. It may not be important to a viewer, but it's important to the cast and crew. It's important to the producers. It's important to the boom operators, the craft services guys, the DPs that are getting murdered on set with bad weapons. Like, these are the people that it matters to. Like, because, some people don't want to get bothered to go get in the car and see a movie. Yeah, sure, it doesn't matter to you, but to the film industry, yes, it's very important.
Just make sure you find a good theater. I, unfortunately, had a terrible theatrical experience while watching this, not in any fault of the movies, but all of the fault of the theater that I was at. AMC has quit doing social distancing completely.
I think most of them have.
Yeah. I did find out, though, you can request it, but you have to do it in person at the box office purchasing tickets. You can't do it through AMC app or online, which is lame. We walked in, my seats, I had space between them. I was the first person to purchase tickets in the theater. There were people who had scooted several seats over so they could have the shared combo seat and push themselves right up against us, and other people that bought all of the rest of the row next to us, we were sandwiched, so we moved back a row to get away from that. Hated that part. The sound in the theater was not as good as it could have been, and the masking was messed up, and it was very distracting. Despite all that, it was a good movie, but make sure you know that you're going to a good theater, because you don't want to end up with bad sound or masking dangling down in the way, being
still probably better than your
distracting.
54-inch Sanyo. Just saying.
Well, I have a 65-inch UHD Samsung, so
It's still better than that, dude.
I don't know.
Your little sound
Yeah, no,
bar.
I mean, I wish I would have seen it in a little bit bigger of a screen with a little more speakers in it.
See, I always pick. I look at several showtimes to see what the seating looks like. I'm like, oh, that's theater 11. Oh, that's theater 10.
I forgot which one theater 1 was, and it didn't tell me online. I knew by the seating that it was going to be theater 1 or 2. I just couldn't remember which one was the one I hated. I wish I would have found it and watched it in Atmos. I bet Atmos would be dope.
I think it would be dope. And I'd like to see it in IMAX, but our IMAX is a Limax, so I don't know. Maybe I'll try and go see it at our IMAX if I can find time, because this is a theater experience. It's a great theater movie. So Tyler says go to the Malco, see it at Dolby Atmos theaters, Theater 1 and Theater 3. There you go. If you live here in Fayetteville.
Logan asked if it was a little too dark at times, scene where the Baron. He couldn't see him, couldn't tell what's going on. It's probably just because your eyes closed since you were hungover. I didn't think there was any scenes that were too dark to see anything that was going on.
I think that was just a drunk haze. So let's see. Tyler says Atmos was insane. I can't imagine. I would almost probably bring earplugs just to take a couple decibels off. But and honestly, bringing earplugs is not a frowned upon thing. You're not losing anything. I know a lot of professional sound guys that do wear headphones into loud theaters just for their own protection.
Yeah, absolutely. I do it to every kind of concert or show I go to.
Oh, yeah. Going to a concert,
Actually,
always.
it makes it where you can actually hear a lot of it more clearly, so you get a better experience from doing it. Vince just posted in the comments about all of the Fathom event updates, and one of those is that Rocky 4 with an extended 40 minutes added to it, and it's supposed to all be fight scene stuff. I have my tickets for it, so I am.
I need to go for that. We've got an event at Pinpoint, but I think I can sneak away.
When I bought tickets, there was like maybe 3 seats left, and that was a few weeks ago.
Hola.
Yeah, I've had my tickets for weeks. So. Yeah, right now I'm running through a Rocky. We're watching all the Rockies leading up to 4 with my girlfriend. We watched Rocky. We're gonna watch Rocky 2, and I can't wait until we get to Rocky 3, which is the best one of them all. And then go to the theater.
You and your Thunder Lips.
Yeah, dude, Thunder Lips. He's the ultimate male, and it has Clubber Lang. It's the best one, man. I hope all 40 minutes is Apollo Creed's entrance to fight Drago.
No, I hope all 40 minutes is just the montage of Drago in Russia and then Rocky like in some just snow cabin. Yeah, it's just a 40 minute Hearts on Fire extended cut.
I would watch that too. I hope that 25 minutes of it is James Brown Living in America extended, and 15 minutes of it is extended Hearts on Fire. I would, I'd be into it.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Print, cut. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Dune, it's in theaters. I know that wasn't like a super in-depth review of this, but
it's only the first half of the movie.
And it's good.
It is good. I've seen a lot of people. I saw comments like it was decent at best, or people being like, "Oh, I didn't really like it" and stuff like that. Come on, man.
I mean, yeah. What do you want? What do you want? It's I kind of just go back to the the meme from The Notebook where he's just like, what do you want? Like that's what audiences. What do you want?
Push yourself to suffer through any of the new Star Wars, and then watch this new Dune and be like, oh wow, sci-fi can be good.
Can be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So Dune is in theaters right now. You should definitely check it out. Sit down in a theater, make the time. Bring some snacks, get a babysitter, whatever it is you got to do. Make an event out of it. It's worth it. It's a good time. It's transportation to another place and another time and another planet.
Arrakis.
The
Spice Melange.
It's pretty cool. All right. Well, we got to get out of here. It's 9 o'clock. We're out of time. Thanks for tuning in. We do love it when you guys come and participate in the chat. But if you are not participating in the chat, please continue to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, because you can get this podcast where you can listen to us on the go, so you don't have to look at our dumb faces the whole time. But anyway, happy Halloween. It's coming up. I hope you guys have a great, safe holiday weekend. Watch a lot of scary movies. Dress up in costumes. Never think that you're too old to dress up in a Halloween costume.
Yeah, hey, and if you dress up like anything from a movie or TV or anything cinema related, post it on our Facebook or message it to us or something. Let's see them. I want to see people's movie related costumes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Tony says, after 2.5, my 11-year-old was like, was that the end? Nope. Yeah.
The end of the movie is pretty clear because they made sure that they're like, look at this stopping point we're coming up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it leaves you wanting more. Let's see. All right, Vince is going to email a question. I will check that when I get back to the office. But I appreciate you guys. Happy Halloween. Drive safe. Make good decisions. Good Halloween costumes. We'll be at Nightmare on Block Street all weekend long if you want to come out and say hello. And until then, yeah. Any parting words there?
Party on.
All right. Later, guys.